Hey, before we get to today's great episode, wanted to let you know of a new exciting thing going on for the Lounge. For the first time since we started this podcast, the Lounge has entered into a partnership with a company that is aligned in how we think. Completely stop gambling. So Betttr is giving away 200 free subscriptions for life to the first 200 users from this podcast. Download Betttr, find the link in the show notes, or searching Betttr in your app store. So it's Betttr, BETTR, quit gambling. Search for that on the App Store or click into the link in the podcast show notes. So I'll see you on Betttr. And now to today's episode.
Welcome into the Gambling Recovery Lounge. My name's Eric. I'm a compulsive gambler.
And my name is Alyssa, and I'm also a compulsive gambler.
And we're both in recovery.
Yes, we are.
We're going to start today's episode to talk about what happened today. We celebrated Alyssa and her husband Sebastian's 5 years in recovery in a wonderful meeting at Griffith Park in Los Angeles. And, you know, congratulations.
Thank you.
You've been such a critical part of my recovery as I'm nearing 3 years in a couple of months. And to watch what happened today, 5 years, it was just so emotional and so incredible. So can you take, I don't know, a minute for our audience and just talk about how it was for you today?
Yeah, it was a beautiful morning. It was I was surrounded by beautiful people who were saying beautiful things about me and Sebastian. And normally I like when people are giving me accolades all the time, but it does get embarrassing. I just felt like, oh, you guys you're so silly. What do you mean? Me? No, that kind of thing. But it really, you come out of a meeting like that feeling like alive and, and more fired up to, it amps up your recovery quite a bit.
Yeah, it was totally awesome. And Alyssa's sponsor led the meeting, and that makes it even more special, right?
She did, and she actually surprised me because she started to talk about what she did in the morning when she texted me and said, "Who do you admire most in the program?" And I didn't know why she was asking me that. I thought it was a trick question and that I was probably needing to answer her. But I didn't. And I immediately thought of the newcomer because that's really who I admire the most.
I totally agree. The newcomer always reminds us of exactly where we need to be. When we come back, Sebastian is going to join us in the Gambling Recovery Lounge. So, Sebastian, let's maybe start your story of your upbringing, childhood, and kind of what happened through your adolescent years and up to the point where gambling came into your life.
I'm going to go back to the very beginning. Born here in LA, grew up in South America, in Chile. I never gambled when I lived out there. I lived from the ages 3 until 18. Never gambled, never crossed my mind. Now, I did have a video game addiction at one point that I remember my mom sending me to get groceries one day, and I instead spent the money playing video games. So I relate that a little bit with my kind of gambling because I played slots.
How old were you when that video game stuff was going on?
About 10 years old.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Today was my 5 years, as we said earlier.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And very exciting. I got the coin, I got the pin. It was an amazing day in Griffith Park here in Los Angeles area. Never gambled for 32 years. I met Alyssa back in 2016. The first night that we met, she invited me over to go to a place called San Manuel here in California. That night I said, let's go. Why not? I'm driving right now. But I never gambled before.
So when you met Alyssa that night, what was the event you met her at?
My niece invited me over to a party. She didn't warn me, and she introduced me as her boyfriend. And for me, that was like a shock. I was like, what are you doing? I don't want to be here right now. However, in that party, we were the older generation. We started talking. We had like things in common, you know, and funny enough, that night she asked me to go gamble.
She just said, let's get in the car and go to the casino.
Yes.
And what was your initial thought? Like somebody who's never done that, like what?
I remember exactly that date because it was on a weekend. So at the time I was working Monday through Friday in a company, and I said, okay, it's Friday. I have the entire weekend off. I can just go, you know, why not? Try something new. One thing that I want to mention, the first time I went to a casino here in California, I was really nervous. Like I had this nervous sensation, like, I don't know why.
And you're talking about that night with Alyssa.
No, not that night.
Oh, so you had been there once before.
No. Never have been there before. But when we went for the first time, that this happened actually a few months later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that night that you went with Alyssa, what happened?
So the night, we started talking, texting each other, and then a few months passed, and we talked about going to Vegas. And before going to Vegas, we stopped at San Manuel Casino. That was my first experience winning. So I played a game, and she was behind me, and I got hooked right away because I won a significant amount, and I couldn't understand what was happening actually because I looked at her like, wow, I never won anything in my life. Mm-hmm. So for me, that was really like, wow, this is cool,
like,
you know?
Magical.
Yeah, and on the way to Vegas. We were going to Vegas, you know, and also thinking that we were going to have fun, you know, go to a show, you know, fancy restaurants or anything like that.
Yeah. So then you get to Vegas and you have these winnings that you got on the way.
Yes.
So then what happens in Vegas?
In Vegas, for some reason, everything is very expensive, you know, being in a hotel that charges $8 for a bottle of water.
Do you remember which hotel it was?
The Cosmopolitan.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That was a place that we went a lot. We had free rooms, you know. I still get emails from them.
Free rooms from all of Alyssa's gambling before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what happens at the Cosmopolitan that weekend?
We pretty much played all weekend long, and the $500 felt like one penny because easy comes, easy goes.
So you're playing slots, high limit slots, all weekend. And then what happens?
At that point, I wasn't a compulsive gambler yet, and I saved money to eat. Alyssa and I went to the Aria Hotel, which is next to the Cosmopolitan, to eat pizza. And I go and I take out the cash that I had in my pocket, and she looked at me and she's like, "You still have cash? And you didn't tell me when we were at the floor?" And for me, that was like, oh, what's going on here?
Red flag.
Yes, red flag. By the way, Alyssa's here in the audience.
Yes. Yeah. Peanut Gallery. It's really interesting because it's the fact that you had not gambled before, and all of a sudden now you hit this jackpot on the way to Vegas. Now you're in Vegas. You're living the high life. You're betting huge amounts of money. I guess the question is, did you at one point in that weekend say, what are we doing here? Why aren't we having more fun at restaurants, hotels? Why aren't we seeing shows? What are we doing flushing all this money back into the machines? Because you hadn't had an addiction of any kind to that point, right?
That's a very good question because I didn't think of that. This is the first time that I've been asked this, by the way. I didn't think that at the time that we were there because we were having fun at the same time. It was kind of like an experiment for me too, to experience, maybe it was meant for me to have these funds that I won on the way there so I can have this fun.
So the weekend comes and goes, and now you come home.
Yes.
Okay, so then what happens after that?
A few more weeks passed by. We planned to go to San Manuel Casino here in California. I won a jackpot. That was the first jackpot I won. The amount was the minimum that you have to sign for the form to have tax deduction.
The music's playing and all the attention's on you at the slot machine.
Yes.
Because now all the bells and whistles are
Yes, and that was the first time I won. However, I managed to go home, but 2 weeks later from that, and I'm talking already November of 2016, I won 2 jackpots in the same night.
As you and Alyssa now are, we'll say, dating, is your relationship all centered around gambling? Or are you learning about each other, trying to grow the relationship? Or are you just freaking going to casinos and having a fucking blast?
We're having fun. We did have fun. You know, in the beginning, it felt like we were in a movie. You know, we're winning. Not just me, I'm winning, she's winning. And then we combine our earnings. We were already started to think, oh, we're very good at this. We should become professional gamblers.
Professional slot machine players.
Yes.
And as I think Alyssa and I talked about,
How ridiculous that sounds.
you know, when the slot machines are like federally regulated to beat the player like 75 or 80% of the time, hard to be a professional against those odds, right? But, you know, when you win, you start to believe things that are, you know, unimaginable, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we did. Actually started accessing to different places because in the beginning, we started with dollar machines. And one time that I got a jackpot, one of the attendants told me, you should try the high limit room because that's what pays the most. And I'm paying a lot of jackpots in there. I discussed that with Alyssa. We tried it that night. And what happened that night? We won a jackpot together.
So what's the difference between the $1 room or machine and then you go into high limit? Is that like $100?
It's a big difference. This is when we became very, very risky in our gambling. We took risks that we were playing with fire pretty much. Because, yeah, the difference is that $1 machines, you can go up to $3 for one bet. But now in the high limit room, you can go all the way from $100 to $1,000 just hit of a spin. That's the difference. And now I think about it, it's sick, disgusting.
It's like $1,000 just in a paper shredder, right?
Yeah, but that's basically the best way to describe it.
And you think about your life today in recovery and what $1,000 does for you.
I know.
And how much that money.
Yes.
It's amazing,
Yes.
right? Oh my God. You guys now are giving all the money back, but you've won a lot. What starts to be the fork in the road? Because you're getting now to a point in this binging activity where you're about to go down a very, very dark path. And we know from Alyssa's discussion a couple weeks ago, disaster is coming. What's your perspective?
We were becoming very irresponsible in the sense of we lost the value of the dollar at that point because one jackpot for any amount wasn't enough anymore. We had a number in mind. Sometimes we met the number. We were like, you know what? We have a good energy still. We should just go back and multiply this and make even more. But we started going down and down and down. And now I think this as a mathematical equation that we started a subtraction deficit that we were already in the negative, and even if we had a little bit of positive impact, it wasn't enough because we were already in a deep hole.
Gambling addiction is far more tied, I think we learn in recovery, to emotional distress, not so much a financial distress. In your own situation, especially somebody who had not gambled before you were 32 and now you're thrust into this and all this craziness is happening and these big dollars and all this stuff, is there something from your personal life, emotionally, that maybe caused you some trauma that could have led into this cycle of emotional withdrawal and wanting to check out and disappear into something like gambling?
That's a very good question. And yes, totally yes. The relationship with my family thought that I was a drug addict because of my behavior. I started asking for money. My dad confronted me and said, "Why do you need money all the time? What's wrong with you, man? What's happening?" Everybody started talking in my family, my brother to my cousin, my uncle, and nobody wanted to lend me money anymore. I asked for a loan, or I asked, "Hey, sell me some money for gas or for anything." Because for me at that point, I wanted just to go back to the casino and keep winning jackpots.
So your relationship today with your family, now you're 5 years into recovery, is it much different than what you just described from
Oh my
back
gosh. It changed 180, 170. There's still like a 10% that it's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect,
Right.
But I opened up. But it took not only from my own words, also my wife had to speak in my behalf many times to my mother. My mother didn't understand.
All right, so now you and Alyssa start to go to GA meetings.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
In the beginning, that first meeting for me was really intense in the sense of hearing other stories. And then after I share a little bit about myself, but I was really shy. I remember someone approached me after the meeting and thanked me for my share. And I looked at her kind of confused, like, okay, who are you? And I didn't understand also the 12 steps and
Right.
anything like that. We attended the second meeting and we landed on a birthday meeting for 2 members. And after that meeting, that was the first time that I exchanged phone numbers. And someone that was around my age approached me, and at that time that person had 8 years in the program, gamble free, and he gave me some good feedback and told me, "Brother, everything is gonna get better. You're gonna start having all these amazing results in your life as long as you stay away from that bet, as long as you stay away from the casino, as long as you stay away from thinking about gambling." And 5 years today, yes, it did happen. How did it happen? By me putting all my energy in my recovery, by me finding myself, because that first meeting that I went, if I look back today, 5 years ago, I was a person that was destroyed. I was a person that didn't want to live in this world. Yes, I destroyed every corner in my life, and I didn't have any support in that time to come out of it, because as I said earlier, they thought that I was a drug addict because of my behavior, but it wasn't that. It's the gambling that was in my life.
Did you ever consider suicide?
No, but self-destruction, yes. I would just get in this very sad moments of my life and just go to bed, put myself to sleep. I would take a lot of naps. Didn't even watch TV. I love watching TV once in a while. I have a couple series I'm watching, but no, not even music. That's one of the things that I wanted to add. I make music and I stopped making what I love the most. Even sold everything to finance my gambling.
Yeah, it's amazing what we sacrifice of all the things we love, the people we love, when gambling takes hold of us, everything. Because, did you feel like you literally lost the ability to choose things in your life because the addiction became so strong that it just overpowered you completely?
I remember I was hired for a job. For me was like, why am I getting this job right now? My sick head, I'm like, I can go to the casino and make 3 times this amount. It took me years to recover from that. And it wasn't until my second year of the program that I decided to have a sponsor. On the second meeting, my sponsor approached me and said something that I always remember about my share.
I know Alyssa's going to come in and ask you some questions. I would end with asking you, what's the message you have? As you just celebrated 5 years, and we had that amazing celebration meeting today at the park. The person who's on day one can't possibly imagine how they find their way and stop gambling. What can you add with your words of wisdom based on your experience to say to that person?
Don't give up. It's one day at a time. You have to be patient. But here's the thing. Your attitude that you're going to approach stopping gambling, it has to be very sincere and it has to come from your heart, and you just have to just practice a new way of thinking and living with healthy habits. For me, what do I do now? I exercise. When I gamble, I didn't exercise. I eat. When I gamble, I will put all the money to play. I wouldn't eat. I play sports. Once again, I didn't play sports. I make music. Back then, I sold my instruments, destroyed myself. Everything gets better.
Thank you, Sebastian. On a personal level, just so the audience is really clear about what Sebastian means to my recovery, and I shared it today when we were at the meeting. I was in my first 90 days, and I had met Alyssa and Sebastian through some meetings, and they were the first people in recovery that ever lent a hand and said, hey, come on over to our house. Let's just hang out and talk and have dinner. And that night, Edgardo and I came over, and we had a blast, and we laughed a lot. And I was reflecting again today that was the first time that I had laughed in a really, really long time, because I was so broken and devastated. And that was the first time that I realized that recovery was about so much more than just not making a bet. People often say and ask me, well, what's the difference between being abstinent from making a bet and being in recovery? And that night is kind of what that represents to me. You can maybe figure out how to string together days, weeks, months and not make a bet. But if you're not connecting to people and you're not in some kind of recovery program with a community, whether it's for us like GA or whatever your recovery choices out there in the world, there's many different things you can do. If you're not actively participating in your own recovery and you're just trying to go day by day and not make a bet, it probably doesn't have the right outcome. The community that we've created in our circle of recovery is incredible. And you and Alyssa have been a huge, huge part of that for me. So thank you for doing this tonight. I know Alyssa's going to come in now and ask you some more questions, but I love you, man. So proud of you. Congratulations on the 5 years.
Same here. You know, from the first night that we had fellowship, meeting Edgardo, we speak Espanol.
Yes, you do. Connections are connections.
Yes.
All right. Love you, Sebastian. All right, we're going to take a brief break, and then when we come back into the Gambling Recovery Lounge, Alyssa is going to take the seat and ask Sebastian some questions. We'll be back.
Welcome back into the Gambling Recovery Lounge. My name is Alyssa, and I am here with my lovely husband, Sebastian. Hi, Sebastian.
Hi. How
Kisses. I'm good. Thank you for joining us in the studio. I just want to say I thoroughly enjoyed hearing your answers to the questions that Eric asked you. I did think that Eric was a little gentle on you, and maybe I don't want to be as gentle with you tonight. Only because I have questions that I have asked in the past and never really got straight answers about. But also, I have a lot of guilt about dragging you into this world of gambling when you were not a gambler to begin with, and introducing you to the whole thing. And so in addition to finding out about how you felt during that time, I also want to publicly apologize to you for taking you down this path and potentially creating the addict in you. I do feel a lot of guilt surrounding that, and I have for many years. It's gotten better, but I don't know if it's ever going to fully go away, because I do feel like at times that your life would be much better if I hadn't taken you to the casino that day. So when we first met and we started our dating journey, I never really took into consideration how it made you feel that every time you asked me what I wanted to do when we were going on a date, and I would say, I want to go to the casino. As someone that wasn't a gambler, how did that make you feel?
Oh, you don't have to apologize. It's all in the past now.
Oh, thanks, Sebastian.
I felt like it was a little bizarre that all you wanted to do was go gambling all the time. I thought that there was something that I couldn't see yet, but eventually after I started to win jackpots, which, by the way, you should know that that's the worst thing that could happen to someone.
Agreed.
Because I set in motion the path of a compulsive gambler in me, and also you probably did the same. And I understood also why it was okay now to go gambling all the time, and I didn't care anymore. And we would go every weekend. We visit all the places in California nearby where we live.
Yeah, I do remember that we did a lot of weekend casino trips where we would leave Friday night. We wouldn't come back till late Sunday because we were at one casino after the other all weekend. Now, because we were gambling so much during that critical time in a relationship when you're getting to know somebody, do you feel like you really got to know who I was as a person during that time, and that I got to know who you were for real during that time, or were we sort of different people?
Honestly, we didn't know each other. We didn't.
I know.
We didn't. We were...
But we didn't know each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were casino partners. Although we didn't play at the same location in the casino, or we played the same games. You had your own games you liked, and I had my favorite games that I played all the time. We didn't know each other. The dating scene, I will say, because we were just gambling. Wake up, go to work, take a shower, go to the casino, being there for who knows how long, and then coming back, go to work again, take a shower, back to the casino.
Rinse, repeat,
Yeah.
rinse, repeat. Yeah.
We talk about this. Our second job.
It was like a second job.
It became our second job.
Yes, it did. And the funny thing is we didn't really need the money. We had money. We weren't gambling to solve financial difficulties per se. We just loved winning. And it was that rush of being in action, until that rush of being in action just became pure misery because we started to lose and lose and lose. So I know how my experience was. The gambling started to pick up, what I experienced through those ups and downs on that roller coaster. I would love to hear your perspective on how you felt as we kept winning and the money was stacking up, and then as we started losing and the money was whittling down. Did you love me when we were winning and hate me when we were losing?
I love you no matter what.
Oh, I love you too.
But I have to admit that we became very competitive with each other. That wasn't a good outcome from it, because if I will win more, you won more, it started creating fights, and then I will just go back just to try to make more, and then I will lose it all, or you will do the same thing.
Yeah, it was a pretty big blame game situation, especially if we lost. I remember thinking I was keeping track of all the money in my head because you were holding on to it. And then when you would pull out the last 20 and say, this is it, I would go, oh my God.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you.
What?
Now that we're here, and I'll put you on the spot too.
Okay.
Did you love me when I won? Do you hate me when I lost?
Okay, so good question. I always loved you, and I will always love you. I think that I felt like I needed to find somebody other than myself to blame for the losses and to give myself a pat on the back for the wins. But the only person around me, because I feel like I had alienated a lot of people from my life during that time because all I wanted to do was gamble, you were the only person there to blame. And even if it was one of those ridiculous blames where it's like hardly your fault at all, it was still easy for me to justify that it was your fault because I couldn't come to terms with the fact that it was something that I did to myself. And that's just where I was at the time. And I think it sounds like that's where you were at too. I mean, I will say that we had a lot of good times gambling, but we also had a lot of bad times gambling. And I feel like for the amount of time that we were in the casino while we were as we started dating and getting deeper in our relationship, we lost a lot of time. You know, the money we can always get back. It's the time that we'll never get back. And for a long time, I felt like that up and down roller coaster and love you, hate you, and blame you. And it was all kind of scarring to our relationship. And I'm really shocked that we actually got through that. But here we are.
Yes.
Do you have any fond memories of while we were gambling? Like, what's your favorite memory?
Leaving the casino.
And then what's one of your worst memories?
Losing all of the money. When we stopped gambling, if we would go out with neighbors or anybody, even family, all we talked about was gambling in the beginning when we stopped. Yeah. But now we can just we like to play ping pong. We have all these healthy habits. We go for walks. We go on an ice cream date.
On an ice cream date. Sebastian finally got his ice cream date. Now, let's talk about how things were when we stopped gambling and how much our lives have transformed since then. So when we stopped gambling, it was not because we wanted to, per se. It was because we ran out of money. You know, both of us weren't working at the time, so we kind of were like sitting and marinating in the fact that we were poor. You know, we went from having money to not having money, and that is quite humbling, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
I mean, we really had to sort of scale back our lifestyle and...
From ordering cigarettes in the middle of the night...
For $60.
From tipping everyone $100 bills.
Yeah, we lost the value of the dollar.
We were really generous.
We were very generous.
Very generous.
Yes, we were. But that, I guess, we then resented people for being generous, even though that was something that we decided to do, which is also another behavior of ours that I never really understood. Like, we didn't have to be generous. And then we would get pissed off because we were generous after we were generous. And we needed, like, say we ran out of money at the casino and we're like, oh, I wish I didn't give that $100 to whomever or whatever. And then be mad about being gracious, which is such a bizarre situation. So when we were sitting here, you know, in our house, marinating in the fact that we had lost everything, you know, feeling embarrassed, feeling guilty, trying to figure out how we were going to eat and all of this, do you feel like at that time you started to build any resentments towards me going back to like, well, you wouldn't even be here in this situation right now if it wasn't for me?
To be honest, I hate that word resentment. And I think I learned that word from you because you use that word a lot. It was never part of my vocabulary and it was never a thing for me. Resent someone for something they did something bad to you, so now you're going to hold something against them. I am not that person. Even when I gamble, because funny enough, when we gamble, we lost our money, but then somehow we found a way to turn all the poison into medicine. We worked through this together.
We did.
You know, we found this recovery together. We stopped together. Was it easy? No, it wasn't easy. It took days, weeks.
Days? It took years.
Years. I remind myself every day when things go bad on a daily basis, do I want to be where I am today, healthy, or be in hell like I used to be years ago, that I lost everything and I was a nasty person screaming at people or anything like that?
And I know we talked about earlier about how did we really know who the other person was when we were in that dating phase because we were just in this like gambling fog. When we stopped gambling and you looked at me and you were like, who is this person? Were you scared of realizing that maybe you didn't know the real me, and that when you found out who the real me is, that you wouldn't like me anymore?
We started to get to know each other. The one thing we had in common is listening to the same music. We like basically the same food. We just took it from there, one day at a time. We started watching movies together. We used to get emotional together. Besides healing from stopping gambling, we also started working on ourselves. We never let each other's hands apart from each other.
That is true. I mean, even if I was squeezing the crap out of your hand, trying to break it because I was mad that you asked me for a lighter or something is so basic like that, we did never let go of each other's hands. And because of that, I want to thank you for standing by me through all of that, because I know that it could not have been easy for you to go through a lot of the stuff that my behavior caused you to have to go through. I am grateful every day that you never abandoned me in that process, because I was much worse of a gambling addict than you were. And I think I did a lot more of the manipulation in our relationship, a lot more of the controlling and steering which direction we were going to go in came from me. And it's a big burden to feel like you were responsible for such a terrible time in someone's life. I'm grateful that we were able to get through it and that you could see the real me, even though the real me, I would have evolved as a person, and so would you have, regardless of the gambling. I mean, as you grow, you age, you mature, and you have more wisdom and life lessons that you can, offer to somebody. I'm really grateful that I was able to get to experience finding out who you really are, because you are such a interesting and unique person. I feel very lucky to have you in my life, and very lucky that you stuck around. And as much of a gambler as you became, I will never, ever be able to sit in this relationship and say that we were equally as addicted to gambling. We were equally addicted.
I also want to thank you, too, because you helped me out with my family, talking to my parents, and they understood from your words, not from mine. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, I got a kiss. I want to talk just a little bit more about the resentment word that you were saying, because I've always thought that you held a resentment against me for all the things that happened. At any point, did you actually have a resentment?
What I could say instead of resentment is that I always brought in my head thinking things like, if I never went to a casino, my life would have been a complete different life.
Only it wasn't you thinking that, because you would say it out loud. But you would say it like, if I never went to the casino, I wouldn't be, And that's what made me think that possibly you had the resentment towards me.
Playing with money is playing with fire. And not only that, gambling or anything, who's going to take a date to a casino?
Me?
Yeah. I think I've read that in articles on magazines. Don't take your date to a casino because it might not last.
Oh, did I not get the memo? Okay, lastly, I want to talk about us in recovery. And now when we first went to a GA meeting, it was suggested to us that we actually go to meetings separately and not to take this journey together in the same meetings. And so we did do that for a while, but then we joined forces back up and we've been going to meetings together ever since. Do you feel like it was better when we were in meetings separately or together? Like, do you feel like me being in a meeting with you hinders your shares and you're not able to get out the kind of things that you need to get out during that time?
I love the hybrid meeting because we are considered a hybrid couple.
Yeah.
And
by hybrid, he means part GA, part Gam-Anon, because essentially we're both gamblers, but we're also the spouse and loved one of a gambler. So they call us the hybrid couple.
And also seeing both sides, because we have to understand both sides when you're in recovery. I stopped. I didn't want to go back. And is it helpful for other couples out there? Yes, I definitely recommend it, because you get to hear also the other side, and there are more couples also there that are sharing everything, so it's more like in depth for the relationship. So it helps the relationship a lot more, actually.
I think so too. I mean, a lot of couples in that combined meeting that we go to, they have, as individuals, they have their support, whether it be Gam-Anon or GA, and that's really important. Plus, they get to experience and hear the same exact thing that their partner is hearing, so that they can, discuss it after. I mean, not that we talk about people after the meeting, but we definitely discuss the meeting on our way home from meetings or when we get off a Zoom meeting. And that's a nice experience to be able to bounce ideas off of each other and to discuss things that came up during the meeting. For me...
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
I get to see the support from both sides of the relationship, because we've seen how the wife obligates her husband to go to the meeting, and she's like, I'm going to take initiative to come with you, and you're going to tell everything how it was, how you make me feel, and you're going to see that you're not alone in this, because everyone has been through this in this meeting.
Yeah, and I say it all the time, I think 12-step meetings are something that everybody should go to, whether or not they have an addiction, because I think it does give you a real skill set, a life skill set, and how to deal with and interact with people and your emotions, and brings you on this sort of spiritual journey that a lot of people might think that they need, but don't know how to get there in their adult lives, or even, as a young person. But I want to say that in the beginning, I hated being in therapy with you, because I felt like I wanted to tell everybody lies about how you got me in this situation and it's all your fault and all this stuff, instead of facing the fact that I did this to not just me, but to you, because I was still feeling like, it was your fault and I wanted to blame somebody else. But then I realized that there was something missing, and that was you being able to hear those lies and calling me out on them. Or, on the other hand, you being able to hear my emotions and being able to see how raw they were. Thank you.
Thank you
for coming and talking to me about our relationship to the, listeners.
I was so nervous, and plus being here with the microphone, the headset. And
I know. And I love you so much, because you're so adorable. And I know English isn't your first language, but you did such an amazing job. And I think that you really do express yourself really well in English. So I know it's got to be hard for you to translate everything, but it was amazing. Thank you. I love you. And I look forward to many more years together.
Love you too.
Now we're going to bring Eric back in to the Gambling Recovery Lounge so that we can wrap up this beautiful experience number 3 and give you a little bit more about what's up next for experience number 4.
Welcome back into the Gambling Recovery Lounge. We've now wrapped up episode number 3, an amazing night with Sebastian. It's pretty cool over the last couple of weeks when Edgardo was on last week and you interviewed him first, and then I came in after that, and then tonight I interviewed Sebastian first, and then you came in after that. And I think you and I had sort of the same kind of purpose. Like, we wanted to hit our partners with the deeper emotional questions to draw something else out that either of us maybe didn't ask the other. And I think what you had said was really true about when I was talking to Sebastian, that I was maybe gentle. And I think I probably thought some of those same things last
about
week
me with
Edgardo, right? Because
Yeah.
we have almost like this protective mechanisms because of this amazing relationship we've all now built together. But I think it was really cool that we dug deeper with the partners. And
well, deeper. I don't know about deeper. It's like pulling teeth to get Sebastian to say more than one word. But
well, hey, as I always say in recovery, everything that everybody says is exactly the way it is supposed to be said, and I think there's a reason for that. So we're going to wrap up tonight, and then next week's episode, everybody come back for experience number 4, because we are going to have an amazing interviewee next week. And Alyssa, do you want to give just a little tease into that?
Experience number 4, our guest is going to be Julia G. And she is my recovery sister, my friend. She is funny. She is smart. She's witty. She has a great story, different from what you've been hearing out of, the 4 of us. And she's just a really dynamic person, and she's really great, and I'm happy to have her in my life.
As am I. It's going to be an amazing night. So everybody come back in about a week, and you will hear another amazing episode of the Gambling Recovery Lounge. Thanks, everyone, for joining us again, and please come back.